Hi everybody, this is Cindy and we're in week 3, and I told you on Moodle that I was going to make a little video to explain the Competency Capstone project guide, which is now on Moodle for you. And it looks long and all of that. It provides you just about every single thing you need to know about completing your capstone project, so I thought I'd go over it with you. So what I want you to do is have a copy of it, either electronically, and then just listen to me as I go through it with you so that you're looking at what I'm talking about at the same time. And I hope that this will support what you're doing in practicum, because you're doing a lot of amazing things from what I can see and what I read on Moodle, and wanted to enhance that experience for you. So hopefully you will have read this before you look at it. So if you haven't read it, stop now, read the capstone guide, and then come back to the video, okay? So as I mentioned on Moodle, it's somewhat revised too, so you had part of it last semester. So remember how the capstone project is included in Advanced Practice 1 and Advanced Practice 2 both, and it accounts for part of the work and the grade for the course. Make sure that you understand how that works. And we have in the syllabus, it shows that the CCP, I'm going to call it, is worth a certain amount of course, as is your participation and attendance and that sort of thing, right? So, and then as well as your competency building exercises, which are things that we assign for you to do that aren't related to the capstone, like respond to a certain forum or something. So the overall idea of the competency capstone is that you have a way to show your competence to yourself and to us and to anybody else that you want to show, like people that you want to work for or you hope will hire you or admit you to a graduate school. So these are tangible products that you have for yourself, showing your work, kind of like a portfolio of what you've done and resources that you have available to you. And then I'm going to let you choose whether you want to submit this whole thing as a hard copy in a binder or a notebook of some kind. I know that you've done some of that already last semester, so we can change. If you want the second half of it to be electronic, that's okay. If you already did hard copies. So in this transition year, we're going to make some of those changes. So here we go, page 2. The very first part of the capstone project is the table of contents. This is not for your project, this is the table of contents for the guide. And so a little introduction about why we do it, and then we start going through the 2 semesters, and then we talk about how you're going to organize yours and how it's graded. So for each semester there's a table of the resources that you're going to put in there that are not graded, just things for yourself, like copy of the Code of Ethics. And again, like I said, this can be electronic, and so I've put a lot of these things on Moodle for you electronically, so you can save them to your own computer and put them all together on one flash drive or something and send it to us rather than a bunch of emails. That's what we're thinking. So in addition to those assignments and resources that are non-graded, then there are some other actual assignments like you had done last semester already and completed. And then we'll show you how to organize it. So I'm at the beginning of semester 1. See the table there? It says resources, and these are the things that are resources for you. That's what we mean by that, that you have a community resource available. If it's available, you have it there. Like in Missoula, for example, there's one called Uncover Missoula, and the Missoulian publishes it, and it's online, and it lists so many community resources that you ought to have. So if you don't have a hard copy of that, you can get an electronic copy. We had you do a self-assessment of your competency. Beginning of last semester, we'll have you do another one. Self-care plan hopefully is there, dictionary, all the competencies that you're trying to meet that are the Council on Social Work Ed, ethics, sample, practice test. Now in my section I'm doing a little different than Randy. because it's online, it's hard to keep track of all the practice tests for the chapters. So we'll refer to them, but I'm not going to ask you to put them in there. It was just hard to keep track of them, and emails and uploads, it just didn't work very well. So, and then the assessment tools that you use in your agency or other agencies, you have a sample of that. Hopefully you have an electronic version. If you don't, you could scan it, I guess, and put it in there. Sample treatment plans, sample evaluation tools used in your agency. And then there's a thing called student and instructor choice. So if there's something else that comes up that we want to put in there, that's where you can do it. If you have something you want to put in, absolutely, please do. And then it lists the papers that you did last semester. So those are all there. Then the second semester, or the first semester description, right after the table, it lists a little bit more, describes each one a bit more so that you know what that means beyond the table. So if you have a hard time understanding what that means, look for the description. And then we have a kind of a revised description of each of the papers that you wrote, so you don't have to really care about this too much because you've already done those. So all the papers are outlined, and it shows how long and the format and the references that you need to do and so on. So now I'm skipping over to the second semester chart, that table that shows the resources again and the assignments. And this is kind of for you to keep as a checkoff for yourself so that you know that you've done it. We'll send you the self-assessment of competency, or put it on Moodle, I mean, later in the semester. We want you to put your learning agreement in there, so hopefully you have an electronic copy of that. There's licensing information, so that if you're thinking ahead to being licensed as a social worker, in Montana information anyway, and then some information will be put on how to prepare for licensing. There's certain companies that help you practice tests, use practice tests, that kind of thing. Information on NASW membership, and we want you to put your practicum evaluation in there. And one of the reasons is because often when you go to graduate school or apply for a job, people ask for that. They ask for you to send them your last copy of your practicum evaluation. So we want you to keep that on hand just in case. And then we're going to be putting some sample essays that our students have written, and for entry into the MSW program, just so you can see what they look like. If you want to put anything on there which is your professional development and how you document that, put in certificates or brochures or something that shows what else you did, if you went to some training, that kind of thing, had some orientation. It's your professional development. You'll be working on that personal mission statement, which isn't long, and I put a sample, mine actually, on Moodle for you. So that's not graded, it's just your mission statement. And then again, I'm not going to have you include the practice tests from the textbook. And if you have anything else you want to put in there, you're welcome to. And the last thing under the resources is the student and instructor choice. Anything else you want to put sample of a program you led, or if you helped on a grant, some reference to that, or anything that you think is important to put in there. So then career planning resources refers to a resume. We want you to work on a resume, at least begin it, and a cover letter, so you have that ready to go. And then here are the 3 assignments. We have a policy practice paper, which last semester we called a social policy paper. We changed the name just because that's what the Council on Social Work Ed uses. And then an ethics audit, which is an assignment, written assignment, not exactly a paper. And then a plan change process, case study and presentation. So all of these things are described, and each of those 3 graded assignments has a couple pages describing what the actual assignment is. So you can read that and see what's required of that. So you're already all kind of thinking about the policy practice paper. And the ethics audit is a way for you to look at the code of ethics and look at some material in the chapter of the book on ethics, and then complete that ethics audit that's in there. And we've made a copy of it for you here in the Capstone guide. So as you can see down the left-hand column, there's a list of agency practices that your agency may or may not have, but they all are somewhat standard in a lot of agencies, and they what we want you to do is see if those are present in your agencies. You're doing an audit. You're just kind of looking for those things. And then in the right-hand column, if they're there, say in what way they promote the ethics and values of social work. It gave you a couple samples. And if you don't have those things, you could write in that last column about your agency and what way that might work for them. And also included a glossary of all those ethical terms and those agency practices for you. Now the next one is a plan change process assignment, and this is a case study and a presentation. So you'll be writing up a case study, and then you'll also be uploading a short, about a 3-minute, 4-minute video so that we all can see you present. So I've given a sample, and what we're wanting you to do is think about the plan change process, and you know the 4 phases of it. Engaging with your client, and that can be your client system, like it could be in a community for sure. It doesn't have to always be an individual client. And the second phase is assessment. How are you assessing the situation, both strengths and resources and problems? And that can be, again, any level of client, micro to macro. And then the intervention, what was the actual treatment plan, and then evaluating, how did you evaluate it? So we have for you a description of what you should put under each category, each phase of that, and I wrote a case study for you, so that's a sample of what it would look like, and then beyond that, we're breaking down phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and want you to just list which perspectives you used in phase 1 and which following skills, and you'll see where to find all that information in the description of the assignment. And then phase 2, what theories did you use there? Now we're talking about orienting theories or explanatory theories, not practice theories, because you're not in the intervention stage yet. You're only in the assessment. So in the dictionary, and also on Moodle, there's a list of all, remember that? All those orienting theories that you can use, and just do it like I did it here. Show a little bit how those are helpful to you as you do your assessment. And then when you get to phase 3, list the practice theories and models that you used. And again, there is a whole guide for those, commonly used ones in social work programs, and those are mostly for the individual and family phase, but there's many theories listed in the dictionary that show mezzo and macro practice theories too. So there's mezzo and macro orienting theories and mezzo and macro practice theories, all listed in the theory section of the dictionary. So you want to get real familiar with that section of the dictionary. So under the intervention phase, you're going to list which models you used, and then goals and some objectives of that plan. So this is a real situation that you were involved in sometime during this your practicum. You don't have to have done the whole thing, but you were involved in it through the phases, and try to write down the goals and objectives that you used. And then the phase 4 is evaluation, actually termination and evaluation. So a little bit about the process of terminating, and then any tools that you used for that termination, and then the evaluation. So then you are going to do this, like I said, about a 3-4 minute presentation of that. You won't read the whole thing to us, but you will just sort of summarize it. You give it a capsule of your client, and you will have put this up on Moodle so other people can take a quick look at it as they listen to your presentation. And then the next page shows how to organize your CCP. So there will be a title page, and there's a sample of the title page. You don't have to worry about how to set it up. And then it shows how each of these products that you've done is going to be listed in your final product as related to a certain competency. So there's the 10 competencies that we have, and they're all on Moodle with a separate page. So this would be kind of like competency 1, and then a bunch of things excuse me, included under that. We show you which things that are assignments and resources go under competency 1, and then competency 2, and it shows you where to put all the things that you've been working on. So let me see, I'm going to look ahead here. I hope it's making sense to you. And then the grading of the project, it just shows you there, the last page, how the thing is all going to be graded, and I think you probably understand that all by now, that the Competency Capstone project is part of the Advanced Practice 1 and Advanced Practice 2. And again, we've designed this so that it will be helpful to you, that you can see that you are actually competent in these areas and you have a whole range of things to take with you when you graduate that you would take a lot of time to come up with later. So much of this is just putting things together. It's not creating a lot of new things, and you have just those 3 written assignments this semester. So I'll put a little more information about other things as I think of it, and let me know if you have any questions.